title of the book is James Baldwin's World. Baldwin's World included more than being a writer, sitting at the typewriter writing, and it included music, it included paintings, it included all the world that he lived in, which was a world of escape from America, the love for America. I have some moments that kind of express this idea of leaving your country. When I first met Jimmy, I had been familiar somewhat with leaving one's country, and most of the black men I met and women in Europe who were in exile were very deep people. For the reason which I was to understand myself. When I first went to Europe, I had no idea that Europe would be important to me, but I was like the person in the poem by Baudelaire that says, I want to go anywhere but here. So there's this anxiousness one has in his life or her life where you want to leave your country, but the things you don't know about it only become appear to you later on after you're way out of your country. You don't, one day suddenly you are homesick, and the homesickness is so deep, it's like you wonder if your exile was worth it, because I had it twice. Once was when I was visiting Jimmy. I was so in love with Paris and so in love with the idea that you could be someone like James Baldwin in the world that I forgot about my girlfriend. I simply forgot her. I just didn't. One day it occurred to me, and a pain in my stomach just overwhelmed me. And Jimmy said to me, is this the first time that happened to you like that? I said, yeah, it's homesickness. You will never experience it unless you absolutely exile yourself from your own homeland. So those of you, I happen to know another person who was very influential in my life, and that was Richard Pryor. Richard was an amazing kind of person too, because he exiled himself in his own country, and he came to Berkeley and lived in a room by himself. And but 2 years later, I was on a movie set with him, and Sidney Poitier was directing the movie, and Richard was teasing Sidney Poitier about saying the MF word, but Sidney couldn't say the words that most people, black people who grow up under oppression, can say. He couldn't say it. And so Richard said to him, this is Cecil. He knew James Baldwin. And Mr. Poitier I was sitting at the table, he sat there. And he said, there was something I never could understand about James Baldwin. Here's a man who left his own country and live abroad. I could never do that, he said, which was a kind of shock to me, because anybody here who knows something about Sidney Poitier, he's not born in America, he's born in the Bahamas. So he literally had done the very thing he was saying. I couldn't understand Mr. Baldwin doing something like that. We all forget that you're either exiled in your life, as Richard was, as James Baldwin was, and you become the most confident person in the world. Here was Richard sleeping on a guy's sofa. 2 years later, he's the king of he had more confidence than anybody you could imagine. Sidney Poitier is directing the film and happy to do so for Richard Pryor. Because Richard Pryor has something that's, I can't explain it. That's why I kind of wrote the book, trying to get closer to who James Baldwin was. So Jimmy had this incredible confidence that because he started with being a person who doubted himself. He doubted he had to leave his family, he had to leave his sister, his mother, and so forth, and he had to go to a place where he didn't know what was going to be happening to him next. And of course, his genius helped him realize he could have confidence in the world because he was a master of language. My friend Cecil here, named after me, or was that named after you?